President Akufo-Addo was hopeful that the AstroTurf pitch in Alaju will not only provide platforms for the youth in the community, but also lead to the discovery of several sports talents, including football.
Ayawaso Central alone has unearthed several footballing talents and geniuses in our nation, such as Anas Seidu, Mohamed Kluche, Abedi Pele, Osei Kufuor, Yapreko, and Mohamed Kudus. We want to see more and more Abedi Pele's, Osei Kufuor's, and Mohamed Kudus being discovered. And that is why the development of sporting infrastructure around the country is crucial to this end.
The president said the Greater Accra region, under the watch of Mr. Herikoti, had witnessed 176 projects, including the Salaga Market Redevelopment Project and the proposed Children's Hospital.
Residents of Ayawaso Central, through your vibrant, hardworking MP, who is also the Greater Accra Regional Minister, 4 special projects, including this AstroTurf, have been spearheaded by him. There are the 12-unit classroom block at the Kwame Nkrumah School in Alajo, and the asphalting of the Kotobebi and Pig Farm Trotro stations, projects which have been completed and are in use. The 4th project is the proposed Children's Hospital, which will be commissioned for use before the end of this year.
The central government has played its part of the social contract to provide the people of Alajo with these AstroTurf pitch, but now the onus of taking good care of the facility lies on the good people of Alajo. Edward Nyakun, reporting for GBC News.
Let's take you to the courts now. The prosecution in the trial of the former Cocobod executive, Dr. Stephen and businessman Seidu Agongo, has failed in its attempt to have the new judge adopt the proceedings of the previous court. This is because the court has ordered that the trial be started afresh. Justice of the High Court, Justice Kwesi Anochi-Jima, ruling on an application by prosecution on Tuesday, April 4, 2023, said it will be unfair for him to adopt the proceedings of the previous court, since the current court must have first-hand information on the trial and the demeanor of witnesses.
Kwesi Anochi-Jima, in his ruling on Tuesday morning, among other reasons, said he is unable to adopt proceedings of the previous court due to the various allegations of bias and several applications to remove the then trial judge, retired Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Clemens Onyenuga, although the judge averred that he was not in position to confirm or otherwise the allegations levelled against the previous judge. Justice Jima also pointed to the fact that an accused person by law must be treated in fairness, and so the presumption of innocence should not be overlooked by the court. The court said in order to have proper appreciation of the matter and not to inherit the various allegations that characterized the previous court, the trial must start afresh. Prosecution, led by Chief State Attorney Mrs. Evelyn Kilson, on Thursday, March 30th, 2023, requested the court through an application to have the new judge adopt proceedings of the previous court for a number of reasons, including the fact that the prosecution closed its case 2 years ago and the previous court on May 7, 2021, ruled on a submission of no case, which was upheld. Lawyers for all 3 accused persons countered the application of the prosecution, arguing that the practice is for the case to start over again in criminal matters. The former Cocobod chief executive, Dr. Stephen Opuni, and businessman Seidu Agongo, as well as Agricult Ghana Limited, are facing 27 charges, including willfully causing financial loss to the state and contravention of the Public Procurement Act in the purchase of Litovit liquid fertilizer between 2014 and 2016. They have all pleaded not guilty to the charges and are on a 300,000 Ghana cedis self-recognizance bail each. The accused persons made their first appearance on March 26, 2018 and has since travelled for nearly 6 years. The previous judge, Justice retired Clemens Onyenuga, could not bring the case to a close after a 6-month extension ended in March 2023. The court has directed the prosecution and defense to file their witness statements on or before April 21. Hearing continues on April 25, 2023 for case management conference and a possible date to start the trial.
Away from the courts, let's look at crime. 51 persons who allegedly attacked employees of Golden Star Wasa Limited and destroyed several properties belonging to the company have appeared in court at the District Court B in Takwa. The police of the accused persons who were arrested in batches were not taken.
Juliana Eseldaze appealed to the court, presided over by Justice Isaac Osiasari, to remand the accused persons for 2 weeks to enable them complete their investigations. She said considering the number of persons arrested so far, releasing anyone on bail would interfere with their investigation. Superintendent Daze said the accused persons could be charged with conspiracy to commit crime and other offences. However, counsels for 8 of the accused persons, Bright Baden and Jacob Aqua Samson, prayed to the court to grant their client bail. After hearing both parties, Justice Isaac Oseasari said he would rule on the bail application on Friday, April 14, 2023. The court also remanded all the accused persons into prison custody to reappear on the same date.
Let's look at the conflict in Boko. The Member of Parliament for Boko Central, Mr. Mama Yaraga, has condemned in very strong terms the shooting, injuring and killing of some members of the security agencies in Boko on Monday, 3rd April 2023. In a communique, the MP said the act is most reprehensible and should not be repeated. He also called for immediate investigation into the matter and the perpetrators brought to book.
In the statement, Mr. Yariga, on behalf of the people of Boko, expressed sincere condolences to the families of the deceased security personnel and extended prayers to the wounded. The MP, who's also Ghana's representative to the ECOWAS Parliament, urged the government to be proactive in advancing a lasting peace process in Boko. On 3rd April 2023, at about 8 p.m., 3 immigration officers were shot down by unknown gunmen in front of the Boko police station. The victims are Assistant Inspector Philip Mote, stationed at Misiga, Assistant Inspector Lawrence Afari, stationed at Kolungugu, and Assistant Inspector Eric Aidia, stationed at the Pulumankum border post. They were said to be in their private vehicle going to town to buy food when the incident happened. They were then rushed to the Boko Presbyterian Hospital, but Philip Mote was confirmed dead, whilst the other 2 who sustained gunshot wounds are in critical condition. Eric Aidia was later transferred to the Tamale Teaching Hospital on Tuesday, April 4, but Lawrence Safari is still at the Boko Presbyterian Hospital. Reports say both officers are currently responding to treatment. Meanwhile, the body of Philip Mote is still at Boko Presbyterian Hospital.
Now, the Controller and Accountant General's Department, CAGD, has sent a stern warning to all teachers across the country and all government workers concerning a purported phone application known as ePayslip. The ePayslip contains CAGD's logo. The Controller and Accountant General's Department says it is not aware of such an app, so teachers and government workers should not install and make any attempt to enter their credentials into the app with the intention of accessing their payslip. The app is made to hijack phones and send all mobile money and bank transaction PIN codes to fraudsters to withdraw all the users' money. The Controller and Accountant General's Department described the purported app as having a green and black label after installing it on one's phone. Those who have already installed the app on their phones have to reset their phone back to factory setting because the app cannot be uninstalled once it is installed. Let's do politics now. The New Patriotic Party's chairman, Mr. Stephen Ntim, has condemned recent comments by the National Democratic Congress, NDC, on the government's management of the country's economy. In his first media encounter, Mr. Stephen Ntim said COVID-19 and the Russia-Ukraine war caused a downturn in many economies, including Ghana. On corruption, reduction of government size and the country's debt levels, Mr. Ntim said the current NPP government has done more to improve the economy than the NDC could ever do. He promised Guineans that just as they have done before, the NPP will work hard to turn around the country's fortunes and property.
Hardships we are experiencing in Ghana are being experienced everywhere because of the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russian-Ukraine war. Workers in some of the world's biggest economies are demanding increases in salaries due to historic global inflation. It is happening in the United Kingdom, France, and Germany. The NPP government, which the NDC characterizes as having overborrowed, has added just about 304% to the debt stock. Between this government's first and second terms, the number of ministers and deputy ministers has been significantly reduced from 126 rather. As a matter of fact, the NDC government had more presidential staffers than this administration. I appeal humbly to Ghanaians to ignore and disregard the NDC's shouts. The NDC must desist from the habit and strategy of deceit in its quest for power. I call on the rank and file of the NPP to arise and mobilize behind our government to defeat the onslaught of the NDC propaganda. We shall fix the economy. We have done it before in 2001 and 2017. We will fix the economy again.
Very nice to see you.
Let's look at agriculture and food products. This year's chocolate scorecard survey of chocolate companies and the cocoa industry in Ghana shows only 11% of the chocolate companies surveyed can fully trace where their cocoa comes from. The survey says, on average, 40% of cocoa is purchased indirectly. Thus, the buyers don't know who and where they bought the cocoa from. This year's is the 4th edition, which involved 43 chocolate companies and cocoa traders in the country and 29 retailers of cocoa groceries across the world.
Chocolate Scorecard ranks chocolate companies in the cocoa value chain based on their efforts to address challenges in the sector. The $150 billion industry has over the years been the backbone of Ghana's economy. However, deforestation, child labor and other factors have adversely affected the cocoa industry's international rankings. Ghana no longer stands tall when it comes to cocoa ranking in West Africa. These challenges continue to affect the value chain and cocoa production.
The value that cocoa farmers are getting from cocoa dropped by about 16% in just the last year. So farmers are producing, but they are in poverty. As a national level, we should start thinking about how regulation can really lift cocoa farmers out of poverty, out of deforested areas, out of pesticide-soaked cocoa monocultures.
The scorecard this year ranked 83 of the largest chocolate companies and retailers and processors on their performance in 6 sustainability categories, including traceability, transparency, child labor, living income, deforestation and climate, agroforestry and chemical management. The survey found, among other things, that farmers taking part in sustainability programs are often not well compensated for their efforts and remain extremely poor.
If I'm producing a multi-billion commodity worth about 130 billion as of 2021, and I'm not getting even 10% of that, the value of the commodity, then it's not good enough. If we don't produce, the global chocolate company comes to a halt. But for the past 30 years, the price on the international market for cocoa keeps dropping. In 1985, it was around $3,500 per ton of cocoa. Now, as I speak to you, it's $2,486 per ton. What is happening is that on the international market, the price keeps dropping. Why is it that chocolate prices keep going up, but cocoa price keeps going down?
The 2023 Chocolate Scorecard was led by 3 research institutions, Macquarie University in Sydney, the Open University in UK and the University of Wollongong in Australia, and was coordinated by Be Slavery Free Australia and supported by a global coalition of NGOs including Green America, Inkota, Mighty Earth, EcoCare Ghana and the National Wildlife Federation.
States at the French Ministry of Europe and Foreign Affairs, Madame Chrysoula Zacharopoulou, has ended her 3-day working tour in Accra with a pledge to support Ghana protects its territorial waters. She was also impressed by progress made by young Ghanaian talents in sports and the music industry.
Working visit is part of the process of renewing the partnership between France, Europe and the African continent, which focuses on youth, innovation, culture and the construction of a balanced, reciprocal and responsible relationship. At a media briefing on Monday, the Minister of State at the French Embassy of Europe and Foreign Affairs, Madame Chrysoula Zacharopoulou, said France is ready to support Ghana in the fight against violent extremism.
We have many things to share with you, to learn from you. That's why I said in the difficult moments we are there for the humanitarian end. But also when there is security problems, we try, to fight against terrorism with you. But also when there are opportunities, investments, we are there. And I totally believe that we can create this Euro-African axe that we can reinforce and we can do many things together. This is what I promote everywhere because I saw it on the field and I'm convinced of that.
She encouraged the youth to take advantage of French-related opportunities, saying being bilingual comes with many advantages. As part of her working visit to Ghana, she visited the Lycée Français International Jacques Prévert and École Ronsard schools both in Accra. She also championed cultural exchange between Ghana and France to harness the capacity of creatives of both countries.
Let's look at trade. The Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, is disappointed at the passage of the 3 new revenue bills by Ghana's parliament last Friday. The bills, which are the excise duty, growth and sustainability levy and income amendment bills, have been severely criticized by the AGI, who believe it will have dire consequences for the industrial sector.
The Association of Ghana Industries has accused the government of imposing a tax regime that does not support local production and formal business operations. They were also disappointed with the lack of consultation with stakeholders on fiscal policies that have a negative impact on their businesses. The statement said although the AGI made submissions to the bills, their inputs did not receive the consideration they expected. It said its members were already struggling with inflation at 52%, VAT at 15%, water tariffs increment of about 172% for the beverage sector, electricity tariffs at 29.9% for the industry and policy rates at 29.5%, coupled with an unstable foreign exchange regime. The AGI warned that the imposition of new taxes on top of these existing issues will lead to a contraction in manufacturing and other related business activities. The association called on the government to engage in dialogue on how to avoid the negative impacts of these policies. It said it would continue to engage with the government on such fiscal policies to bring positive reviews in subsequent national budget statements.
Let's take you to the international front. Former President Donald Trump is charged with 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in connection with a scheme that directed hush money payments to 2 women before the 2016 presidential election. The 16-page indictment against Trump was unsealed Tuesday, that's yesterday, as he became the first former U.S. to be arraigned on criminal charges. Mr. Trump pleaded not guilty from his seat to Judge Juan Merchan during the hearing in Manhattan Supreme Court. The indictment says those payments were intended to suppress the claims by the women, porn star Stormy Daniels and Playboy model Karen McDougal, claims that they had sex with Trump in a bid to keep their stories from affecting Trump's chances against Democrat Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election. Let's bring it to Africa now, where Kenya is expected to launch its first operational satellite next week in a landmark achievement, the country's space exploration efforts. The Taifa 1 is scheduled to be launched on April 10 on board the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket from the Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. Reports say the move will contribute significantly to the country's budding space economy.
The Observation satellite is fully designed and developed by Kenyan engineers and will be used to provide data on agriculture, food security, among other areas. Testing and manufacturing of the parts were done in collaboration with a Bulgarian aerospace manufacturer. The satellite's launch will add to a push by African nations for scientific innovation and the development of space programs. Egypt was the first African country to send a satellite into space in 1998. In 2018, Kenya launched its first experimental nanosatellite from the International Space Station. According to Space in Africa, a Nigeria-based firm that tracks African space programs, as of 2022, at least 13 African countries had manufactured 48 satellites. They include Ethiopia, Angola, South Africa, Sudan, and others. Although none from African soil, more than 50 African satellites have been launched as of November 2022. Authorities say the Djibouti government in January announced a memorandum of understanding with a Hong Kong-based company to build a $1 billion commercial spaceport that is expected to take 5 years to complete. Kenya, East Africa's economic powerhouse, is suffering its worst drought in decades after 5 failed rainy seasons.
And speaking now to the Chief Meteorological Officer of the Ghana Met Agency, Felicity Afionye. Yesterday, she did predict that the first 2 weeks of April will be expecting some showers across the country. Let's find out how heavy those showers will be. Good morning, Felicity.
Yeah, good morning, Multiti.
Yesterday, I'm good. It rained cats and dogs. What are we expecting before the end of the week?
Yes, thanks so much and good morning to our dear viewers and listeners. So today, we are not expecting much in terms of rain and generally this morning, partly cloudy. So we have sun also on us.
Right.
I would take the temperature as high as 38 over the north sector, 33, 35 over the middle, and then 33 over the street. By late afternoon into the evening hours, we expect this is around the eastern region. We have some chance of rain formation. The first region at Kingdom, Puma, West Suffolk, and Secretary all earmarked for 40% chance of rain today. The state of the sea will also be rough. But then the rain clouds are a big pattern, almost about 200 kilometers deep over the ocean. So fisher folks that wants to do deep fishing, they just have to be extra careful towards the western region side. For the Volta Lake too, it's also cool now. But then the 2 p.m. Upwards, we expect the rain and thunder clouds over the eastern portions, that the middle side of the Volta Lake. So they also have to be a bit vigilant so that they don't get their boat or their other things destroyed by the localized rainstorm formation.
Right. Thank you so much, Felicity Afionye. You're always helping people plan their day and their activities. And that's the weather reports for you. She did say that the sea will be rough, so fisher folk should be cautious. Volta Lake towards afternoon, evening, there's Expected scattered showers over the area, and so official folk, you should be careful out there. But that's it for GTV Breakfast News. There's more news when you log on to gbcghanaonline.com. But what are your experiences with alcohol? You can send them to 055-556-1034, our WhatsApp number, because that's what is going to be discussed next on GTV Breakfast. Also, after the sports, the headline sees a GIMPA SLC president and Ken USC SLC president go head-to-head. Delving into the news, making